Okay, so here we go. State your name.
Lauren Cornett.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a draftsman.
And you want to explain that?
I use CAD. I design architectural casework.
And do you consider yourself homeless, or is there a more appropriate term?
No, I'm homeless, but it's sort of by choice at the moment. I'm trying to save up because I'm tired of giving money to people to pay their mortgage and then them lose their mortgage and me get kicked out on the street. That's how I ended up on the street this time. What I wanted to do is save my money up and get me a little van and get me an RV and then get me a little, like an acre of land and live on the land with my RV and still have my job.
Sounds fun. Okay, so there are a lot of extremely close-minded people who are rude around Eugene. So do you feel like you get harassed for being out on the streets?
Oh yeah. You know what I say? Who cares? That's their problem. It's like earlier by the Wow Hall, this guy came up and said something to me, he started going. He goes, I'm just trying to talk your language. I said, whatever. I just walked on, you know.
So what is it like? And before you were on the streets, you know, did you know what it was going to be like? Did you know what you were?
Well, see, back in the 70s, I used to take off all the time and go check around the countryside and live off the land, so I had a lot of practice. That was the in thing to do back then, you know, in the summertime when you're out of school.
So what's it like now to be out on the streets?
It's a lot different. It's not as dangerous. You got to be careful who you hang out with, who you associate with. And the biggest thing is you got to worry about some of these kids with these harebrained schemes of jumping out and beating you up or something, jumping out of the bushes. People, if they take one look at me, immediately assume everything wrong and not even really realizing what's going on with me. You know? And I, at a point where I don't even care. Somebody said, what do you do for a living? I said, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me, so why should I even waste my breath? I got a job. That's what I tell them. Because they're usually trying to set you up for a wisecrack, you know.
So,
like one kid yells at me, nice poncho, you faggot. Well, if you're living on the street, you got to stay dry, you know. Maybe he's got a place to go in and get dry when he wants to, you know.
So, what do you think is the #1 cause of the increase in homelessness so far?
Background checks. If you don't have a spotless background, people will not rent to you. And the economy is the second reason.
And do you think there's some kind of solution? Not a simple one, of course, but some kind of solution, something that the economy could, or the government could do.
Just allow background checks on dangerous offenders, sex offenders, things like that. Things that are shameful. I mean, not just because someone got high on something or, you know, got in trouble for it, but somebody that really you got to watch out for, somebody who's dangerous or a sexual predator.
Get up in there. Yeah. So.
They're making a pass at you. We should be complimented.
So is there how do you feel about like the teens that are on the streets? Do you?
Oh, I find half of them to be pretty good kids. Well, I'd say more than half of them are pretty good kids. It's really nice to see those youngsters still got respect for the older folks.
And do you have any advice for them, typically?
Yeah, stay on that present course. The thing I always tell the kids is that sometime, if they get high, I tell them that sometime in their young life, give it all up, they'll have a happier life. And I have to say a little bit of my problem has been drugs and alcohol at times, but because of bad luck, mostly. It's like when I was in Phoenix, the defense budget cuts. I lost my aerospace job working for Allied Signal, drawing jet and helicopter engines. And Phoenix being primarily an aerospace military type town, it hit the technical industry real hard there. They were given drafting jobs to 4-year degreed engineers. I remember seeing on TV, they had some articles about engineers that had to take jobs at Kmart as cashiers because there wasn't any work around. I had to go out in the desert, take a pick and shovel, and hey, what's up? And it was just frustrating. I got depressed, I got all messed up on meth, and got busted in Las Vegas. And then here in Phoenix, I got put in jail for it was contempt of court because I hadn't followed through with what the judge had said. I was supposed to have been in Las Vegas, but I didn't even say anything because I didn't even care. I was like in self-destruct mode then. I called it suicide on the installment plan with meth. Then all of a sudden, it was something miraculous happened that gave me the spiritual boost, and I'm not going to go into it because everybody go, yeah, right, oh, yeah, sure.
No, go ahead and say it.
Well, maybe I should. Because you might even recall the event if you watch the weather closely enough. Here it was April of 98, and it was very unseasonably cold in Phoenix, Arizona. In fact, I got up underneath the mechanical room behind Baptist Hospital in Phoenix, ready, praying to die. I'd been up for 5 days, and I was wired out of my mind. And when I woke up next morning, and I said, well, you wouldn't let me die. I said, well, if you really love me, why don't you show me a miracle? I did. Next day, a snow flurry to Paradise Valley, just north of Phoenix.
Wow.
And when I heard that, I said, uh-oh, well, I got my answer.
Yeah.
That's when I pulled my head out of my butt and got all my family, went back to Indiana, and went back there and joined them. Got my act together again. And here I am where I wanted to go in the first place. And I went to college here in the 70s, and the only reason I left is I had a better chance of getting started in Phoenix. And I always told myself I'd return here one day.
So
snow flurry saved your soul.
How is living homeless in Oregon compared to living homeless in other states? Do you know, or
You eat better here.
you eat better here?
Yeah. There's no excuse for anybody to go hungry. I mean, if you're going hungry in this town, either you're lazy or uninformed, or there's a problem. I mean, there's no excuse for anybody to be hungry around here. That's the nice thing about you.
You're putting their energy into things other than food.
Right. They're more than happy to feed you. That's important.
And lastly,
my mother was worried about it, you know. I said, oh, Mom, don't worry, food's no problem. It's gas for the car that was the problem.
Yeah.
Because it was so expensive, you know.
And do you have any last words to say to the people who might watch this, or
Words of wisdom.
to impart to anyone and everyone?
Yeah, I'll repeat what I said a minute ago. If you get high at some time in your young life, give it up. You'll have a much happier life.
Amen.
All right.
We got to close this with some kind of a show here.